Hello, my name's Ian Seeger from Pilot Career News. On the 6th and 7th of November, we held our very first virtual edition of Pilot Careers Live. We streamed over 30 different seminars with 60 speakers. There were 2 days packed full of great information. Of course, we recorded everything, and you're about to watch one of the videos from the event. Before you do, I just want to thank our sponsors, Bose, Alsim, Entro, and of course Pulis. Without them and without the exhibitors, it wouldn't be possible. The exhibitor pages are still live, so feel free to head on over there, go to www.pilotcareerslive.com and click through to the exhibitors. There's loads of information, loads of downloads, all sorts of great stuff there for you. Anyway, enjoy the video, and if you find it useful, really appreciate it if you click subscribe on our YouTube channel. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Gosh, it's literally fast-moving stuff going on here this afternoon. So you may have spotted me in a different chair about 10 seconds ago. So I've moved across now, and we're starting our new session this afternoon. This next session is all about alternative careers, flying careers. So you can look at different options. And again, it's all about the research, research. Make up your own mind about what you're going to do next. So we've invited a couple of different speakers to Pilot Careers Live this year to talk about those different career options. And the first one up this afternoon is Steve Blair, who's from a company called COPTRZ. I presume that's COPTRZ, but I'm sure he'll explain that in just a moment to you. And this is all about drone flying. We've heard a lot about drone flying, and there are an increasing number of opportunities now for pilots to get involved in drone flying, either as an alternative career or as something to do between completing training and whatever job opportunities will come about in, let's hope, the not too distant future. So I'm talking about something that I really don't know what I'm talking about here when it comes to drone flying. So I'm going to hand over to Steve. Steve, thanks ever so much for joining us this afternoon. We've only kind of met virtually before now, so it's great to see you. Shame we're not all in the same building, but thanks very much for giving up your Saturday afternoon. Can I hand over to you? Introduce yourself and carry on.
Absolutely, Karen. Yep, thank you. So it's COPTRZ, by the way.
Sorry.
COPTRZ, really. But yeah, so we're from a company, and we're the UK's leading trainer when it comes to drone pilot and drone careers, and we're sort of a start to finish company. So we look after people from any sort of background, whether they can be from completely changing a career. In this last year, we've trained, I think, just over 2,000 pilots, and what's really interesting is around 100 of these 2,000 pilots have actually come from commercial pilot background. Okay, now the good news about that is that there's a lot of similarities when it comes to flying unmanned aircraft and flying manned aircraft. Obviously, it's a lot simpler. The training courses are very simple, but it still continues to have quite a lot of shared interests, such as you still need to study aeronautical charts and you need to know about meteorology. So pilots tend to find the courses and the training courses a lot easier and can get through them a lot quicker. There's a few different career paths when it comes to this. For example, we've got a qualified pilot here that's worked for us. Obviously, we seem to be having bad news at the time when it comes to all sorts of careers, not just pilots. So he's recently been made redundant, but obviously because of his experience being a pilot, he's now come on board as a trainer to give people licenses to become an unmanned aircraft pilot, if you like. Now, this is great because there's a few legislation changes that the CAA are bringing out, which are coming out on the 1st of next year, meaning that they're going to be taking away the commercial element when it comes to flying a drone. So when you're looking at starting a career, the actual cost is going to be a lot less as well as the initial startup, which is brilliant. Also, because they've taken the commercial element out of the training courses, it actually means you can start a career or start flying a drone and charging money for it from the age of 16, which is certainly a great little money earner if you're going to university or if you're training and to fly commercially. Now, we tend to find that a lot of the time, and we've been training pilots. We as a company, we've been around 4 years now. We've been training pilots long before COVID happened, and a lot of these pilots tend to be a lot with long haul, because they start another business to sort of supplement their income. So it'd be not just being commercial pilot, you can actually fly a drone and supplement your income. I'm going to get into the sort of different aspects of drone flying, what you can do to earn a little bit of money on the side, or have it actually as a full-time career. It's not just photography and fancy photography and taking pictures high up. There's plenty of people now are actually actively looking for drone pilots. Well, people that are advertising at the moment for careers is Airbus Defence, but also Amazon. So some big companies there that are looking to employ people that are qualified pilots and have got a little bit of flight time. We quite regularly get approached by companies that will come to us and ask for anyone that's we've recently trained, or anybody that's doing quite well and want to make a career from something, and we're happy to pass details on. These tend to be not just larger careers; these just might be smaller sort of drone service provider jobs. To give you an idea on the rate of growth within drones, it's quite ridiculous, really. And there's some good news when it comes to flying a drone, but it's lockdown has sped up the growth exponentially. To give you an idea, the drone industry, and just the drone service industry, I'm not talking about the military, I'm not talking about the police force, I'm not talking about large inspection companies, I'm talking just about drone service companies. So this could be something like wedding photography, roof inspections, thermal inspections, that sort of thing. Worldwide growth is expected to go from 4.4 billion in 2018 to 63.6 billion in 2025. So it's a rapidly growing industry, and it's very much the early adopter stage. I've got a couple of slides that I'm going to put on and share and sort of touch on a few different job opportunities which they're out there, and hopefully, if you turn on the news at the moment, it's all very negative, but actually talk about a few optimistic things that you can do, and certainly fine. So I'm just going to share my screen now, so make sure you can see this. Okay. Where are we? Can we see that? Yeah, good. Okay, so a little bit about COPTRZ. I've sort of explained through it. We've got experts in various areas. We've got experts in inspection that will help people set up inspection companies and also get into working with the likes of Severn Trent Water, Yorkshire Water, that sort of thing. Surveying, again, large surveying companies are looking at employing people now to go out and survey large areas of forestry. Drones are also working really well when it comes to the environmental sector. Again, I'll explain that a little bit better shortly. So as I've already mentioned, drone service market is expected to grow from 4.4 billion to 63.6 billion. And that's not me making up figures. I could quite easily say that. That was Business Insider magazine when they've done their recent survey. What I've done, I've had a little bit of a look at a few companies that are interested in employing drone pilots, and I've put in here a couple of companies that you might not have even thought of when it comes to that. So, for example, a few small names on here like B&W, Severn Trent Water, West Yorkshire Police, Geo Access. All these companies are either training in-house through us, or are training or looking to outsource people to come in and do a few little bits of service work for them. So pilots are definitely in the better place to be able to get this work because of your background, or if you've got an interest in training. I know we were talking about, lady earlier was talking about CVs and potentially having a good CV. I think certainly, I know it's not the same, it's not your dream, but to be able to have some sort of aviation background even if you're doing it as a part-time thing through your courses, through university, through anything that you like, it can certainly look good on the CV and show that you have a genuine interest in aviation. So what they're used for in public safety, so things that you might not have thought about or even ever imagined, is that they're used a lot when it comes to search and rescue. So mountain rescue teams, you know, even if you're searching around small housing estates. I had a gentleman actually who called me recently doing voluntary work, and he purchased a drone package because he had lost pets disappearing behind his house on this walk. So his job that he's done himself, he put little plaques and signs up around this walk, was flying his drone up with its thermal camera and looking for pets, completely voluntarily, but it just gives you that idea of what you can actually use them for as well. It's quite nice. The police, now the police, there's quite a lot of different aspects that drones are used for within the police. Now this can be used for forensics. There's a lot of payloads you can attach to the drone. Essentially what a drone is, when you're looking at it commercially, it's putting a sensor in a different position. I know they're great fun to fly and they're great fun to play around with, but essentially when carrying out service work, you'll be putting a sensor in a different position. And the other thing, the reason why the police and the reason why a lot of forensics teams and search and rescue teams are using them is because it's a lot less expensive than traditional aviation. Now, police are using these to track people. They're using them in training. They're using them to enter potentially dangerous buildings and research areas. They're also using them in works with police dogs. So police dogs are trained to follow them as well. So there's all sorts of different aspects. An interesting one is firefighting. Now, quite recently, within firefighting, you would imagine, oh, well, you can, not only can you locate where the fire source is coming from and where what needs to happen, but you can also locate if anybody's actually in the building using thermal cameras. Now, fire services haven't actually, well, they are very slowly starting to adopt a lot of initial drone technology. So what they're looking at and quite regularly look at is your sort of drone service providers to be able to come and work with them and in tandem with them. So you might be able to get on a call with your local fire service, and if they feel the need you, expect a phone call, and that can look great on a CV, or if you're looking to do a job largely or commercially. Also, the military is a pretty obvious one. To be fair, I think most people understand that military using drone technology, so I won't keep going on about that too much just now. Another great something you may not have thought of is using drones within inspection. So a couple of those companies a little bit earlier I was talking about were Severn Trent Water and GeoAccess, but also large energy firms are using drones in confined spaces. If you look at this in the top left-hand corner of your screen, this is that circular object there is actually a drone that can be dropped into a small chamber, so a gas chamber or a tank, and it can basically inspect the area and fly around somewhere that somebody would previously have had to have gone into this area. Obviously saving the company huge amounts of expenses on health and safety reports, but also saving people's lives really, from the sense, because doing confined space inspections is quite a dangerous job, as quite a few people already understand. Working offshore as well, it's even carrying medical supplies. There's been a test recently during lockdown about carrying medical supplies out to oil rigs that was successful, so that'll lead to something. Wind farms is a big one, because you can imagine the amount of time it takes a rope access team to climb up a a windmill to inspect if there's any damage or anything on a windmill. And if you timed that by, say you needed to check 50 windmills, it's pretty much a full-time year-round job. To be able to do that with a drone means that these people can use their skills to be able to do what they're good at, which is repairing large engineer works. Now, again, with this sort of work, it's very much something you can do on the side. It's not necessarily a job that you would need to be employed by an inspection company. It's something that you can go out and help. And the other good thing is you don't actually need to know a lot about what you're doing. You need to have a basic understanding, but your customers are just going to ask you, can you go up and do a report of a certain area? Can you film this certain area? So don't think to get into doing inspections in large oil tanks and oil refineries that you need to know anything about refining oil. It's your job to get the data, process the data. And we have people and quite a few examples of people that are earning a very good amount of money doing it. And I think certainly with the new regulation changes and with people being able to do this as they're younger, and the Xbox, PlayStation generation have definitely got an advantage when it comes to flying these things and getting the best footage that they possibly can do. Another big one is surveying. Surveying is really, excuse the pun, but taking off when it comes to using drones in the surveying industry. Big mapping, large areas. I'm ready to do lots of building works and things. And you can do them really closely and get really exact figures when it comes to surveying. This is certainly a job that a lot of people are interested in, a lot of people are getting into. And again, it's something that you could use. This is more of a full-time job, so it'd be something that potentially you would do not in tandem with being a commercial pilot. It's more the inspection jobs and the agricultural jobs that I'll go on to next are more suitable. Now, I don't know if anybody watched it, but I'm sure, well, of course I know everybody watched it, the David Attenborough series recently, which was David Attenborough's witness statement. Now, I don't know if you know, I'm quite sad when it comes to drones now, but at the end, when it said, what does the future look like? There's 3 or 4 drones flying out of the forest and whizzing along carrying seeds and planting seeds. Now, this is actually happening. There is a company called Airseed, which are planning to plant 20 million trees using drones. And it's absolutely fascinating. Also, if you care for the environment, if you're just doing small jobs where you would be sort of helicopter style jobs, drones are now being used to carry out that work a lot faster, but also a lot better for the environment. With the payloads that they can attach to the bottom of the payloads, can actually locate. If you've got a large area of the field, you can actually locate if there's any area that needs pesticides spraying, right? Because it can detect the heat or detect what the chlorophyll in the leaves, how much light it's taking in. So it can see where pesticides need spraying, which can then send that. It can either spray the pesticides or work in tandem with a tractor that will tell them exactly where it needs spraying. So large fields traditionally. A farmer would go out and spray a whole field with these pesticides. Now a drone can literally fly up, scan a field within half an hour and tell them exactly where it does need spraying. Obviously, less pesticides being used is a massive advantage and quite a strong subject at the moment when it comes to the environment.
Steve, sorry to interrupt, just to let you know, we've just got a couple of minutes left. I'm not sure how that works with your planning.
Yeah, that's fine, not long left.
Thank you.
So this is what I'd like to say is, if you've got any, if you have any questions or queries, I'm more than happy to speak to you on a one-to-one basis. I've put on there you get a 10% discount for the training, but it's more along the lines of, I understand it's a bit tricky time now for sort of young pilots, so I'd be more than happy to talk to anyone about getting in touch and really seeing the opportunities out there of what you can do. And yeah, as I say, thanks again for having me on. The email address there, if anybody does want a 20-minute conversation or even a little bit longer, drop me an email on that, and I'll be more than happy to have a one-to-one with somebody. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Steve. That's really kind of you. We have had some questions through during the time you've been chatting, but I'm hoping you're going to join the Q&A panel with us a little bit later on this afternoon, and we'll bring those up in that Q&A panel if that's okay. So those people who've asked those questions, don't think we're ignoring them. We will come back to them in the Q&A panel as promised later. So once again, a big thank you to Steve. A quick reminder that we really must thank all of our sponsors who have supported the event. That's Bose, Alsim, Pooley's and Entrol. And a reminder that if you shop with Pooley's, make sure you put the PCL code in at the checkout, and that'll give you a 5% discount. And also a reminder, please, to do go and have a chat with our ATO virtual exhibitors whilst you're with us today. They would love to hear from you. So thanks again to Steve, and we will close off now. The next session coming up is with Helicentre Aviation about helicopter pilot career pathways. Thanks, everybody.